The great Gasly leads a podium that only one person in the world predicted. We debate whether or not the engine mode ban was a major factor in the mayhem in Monza. And we give our predictions for Mugello. Let's jump the start.
Hey everybody, and welcome into the Jump to Start podcast. My name is Wellington. I'm here with two of my closest friends. Yhancy, say hello.
Hi.
Ruben, how are you?
What's going on, guys?
Guys, today we are going to discuss the absolute mayhem that was the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, the Temple of Speed. Before I get into that, though, I want to make sure that I mention our social media,
Platforms.
Yeah. So on Twitter and on Instagram, we're on at Jump the Start F1. We're at Jump to Start Racing on YouTube. We are very active on our YouTube channel. We're also available, obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, you know where to find us. But we're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeart Radio.
I didn't hear you. Can you say that again, please?
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, and iHeart Radio.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There you go. Yhancy spoke.
Yes. So
I'm trying to be just calm and collected because
it was a boring race.
Oh, this race.
So before getting even into the race, there are two things to kind of really talk about. Of course, we record and then the next day news drops. But Claire Williams, it was her final race as the deputy team principal of the Williams team. It was bought out by Doralton Capital. We talked about that 2 episodes ago. The end of an era. I know that's Ruben's favorite team, so I will let him have his time to shine. But what was it? 7 constructors championships and a storied franchise, to say the least.
How many towels did you go through to wipe away your tears?
I was actually a little bit disappointed. I didn't cry that much. Not like her, not like their team did, but I was surprised that the change came so quick, from such a historic team and announcing, they've been having financial troubles for a long time, and them announcing, somebody was trying to finally buy them, but they, I guess, promised that they were going to keep on with the Williams heritage.
Yeah. Didn't last long, that promise.
Yeah. Then the following week, the Williams family was like, okay, we took our money. Peace.
Well, I mean, we don't know what happened behind closed doors.
Well, there was some insight where she said that, they don't own the team anymore. So
now have to take orders.
Yeah, now they would have to take orders for a team that they always owned, and they didn't have to answer to nobody. So it would be weird for them to be running the team while somebody else owns it. So, and I think, they have that right. They've earned that right. Frank has earned that right. Frank Williams has earned that right. She's earned that right. They grew up in that team. They won the second most championships in F1 history. The only thing I'm disappointed is that the drivers didn't, have a personalized message for Ruben, since he's such a huge fan.
I'm like, what the hell is
but yeah, man, I mean, she deserved to go out the way she wanted to. It was very sudden, but it is what it is,
So since this team has been pretty much her whole life, and Frank as well, so what is normal for them?
Dude,
I'm sure they don't even know.
I'm talking about, I think I remember a little something from her Beyond the Grid interview that she did with the podcast. And where she was saying that when the drivers came over, the drivers that were willing to sign or they're looking to sign came over, and whatever driver made their bed, they would not sign them because there's no way a driver has time to make their bed. They're too busy thinking about driving.
Oh, wow.
So even the drivers will sleep over in their house or, their vacation or whatever, their property. So
yeah, she was used to, I remember
she's been around.
When, I think it was for the Williams documentary, she mentioned that, she was 14, 15 years old, and they have Ayrton Senna there about to sign for the team. And she's like, oh, hi, Ayrton. Like, that's normal.
That's normal. So what's the new normal?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tough, but, I think it's what that team needed. They needed a injection of cash, and hopefully they will be able to bring on a new era for Williams and have him be competitive again. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see.
Is that what Ferrari needs?
Oh my God.
Here we go.
Wow. We literally talked right before the podcast. Yo, let's lay off Ferrari. And here we go. Right at the start.
No. Going back to Williams, I'm not satisfied. Like, I think heritage teams like that, they should stay around longer.
Yeah.
And they're unfortunately disappearing.
Well, the name is there. So
for now.
Yeah, for how long?
That would be like the equivalent. And even like that, it wouldn't go. But it would be the equivalent of like the Steinbrenner selling the Yankees. You know, right now the Yankees are, you know, that's them. So I don't know. We'll see. But the Yankees were owned by, you know, they had previous owners before. So it's just the way sports things work. They have different owners.
I wonder if it was like a COVID thing that kind of really pushed them out. But whatever. I mean, it's done.
Probably was.
Yeah. And we'll move on from...
We will never know.
Yeah. So the other... It's not a piece of news because we talked about it last week. But the other bit of information coming into this weekend's racing stuff was that qualifying modes would be banned. The party modes would be banned at Monza. I'm going to say I don't believe that it had an effect, but some people disagree.
Success!
Yeah, some people disagree.
For now.
For now. So let's jump right into it. Let's get into the race weekend review. So the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, qualifying again wasn't as much of a problem as last time or as last year. But then you started seeing everybody now like hustling because they instituted a rule where you had to have a minimum time around the lap or around the track to get your fast times in. You started seeing everybody hustling around the track and interfering with each other and each other's slipstreams. It was just a disaster. They need to figure something out.
Well, it introduced a bit of chaos. What I did notice that it was only when there were 20 cars on the grid, and then things got a little bit better as the cars started getting eliminated. Granted, you don't want to see somebody doing a fast lap and somebody else slow. Like that incident with was it Kimi and Ocon?
Yes.
That was scary because it looked like, you know, and this is qualifying. It's not a race.
It looked like they were racing.
It looked like they were racing. Though.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's what we said. They should just transition to sprint races.
Well, we kind of got that in the race.
Yeah.
We got 2 races in one.
Dude, what a weekend.
Q1 was super exciting to me, especially with that mayhem was going on. So I'm like, oh my God, it's happening again. It's going to happen again next, Q2, Q3.
When you introduce a little bit of chaos, regardless of how you introduce it, it's always fun to watch as a viewer. But we also have to think about the people on the track and their safety. And these are cars that are going around the track on super light cars at anywhere from 180 to 200 miles an hour, especially at Monza. It's kind of dangerous. So you have to think about it that aspect. But as a viewer, as pure entertainment, that was great.
Yeah, I think it was Beto that said over the radio, why did the Alphas have to overtake everybody?
Yeah.
But at the beginning, when he said that, I'm thinking about AlphaTauri, like, what the hell is Beto talking about? But then as I went back and see it again, like, oh, he's talking about Kimi, and then he decided to overtaking everybody.
Yeah, but
that's what created the mayhem.
But they wanted to go fast. Mayhem because the whole point is, and I think it was Jensen Button that mentioned it, is that these drivers, they lost a little bit of respect now. There's no respect now as far as let you go first, I go first. Yeah. There's none of that. As the session progressed, when you went into Q2, Q3, you saw people letting people do their fast laps and things like that. But there was a lot more, I guess, of a gentleman's agreement in the past. That's what Jensen Button on the broadcast was referring to.
But it's funny that even in Q2, I think Q1 or Q3 as well, everybody just followed suit right after Mercedes.
Well, the Mercedes didn't need a tow.
No, I know, but everybody followed suits right after them. Like, they came out first, and they just like, okay, open the gates.
Because Mercedes doesn't need a tow. So any other car does need a tow. So they're gonna take advantage of the first car going out. I'm going right after them. Yeah. And at one point, I think it was during Q3, the Mercedes just went out and everybody was unprepared.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it was like 5 minutes left in the session, or 5:40 for almost 6 minutes. They took out and and everybody just follows suit. Like, okay, so like, can you guys do your own lap? Same thing you're saying.
I tell you what,
you do a tow for me, I do a tow for you. Let's go and do our time. So we could,
considering, the qualifying results were the usual Mercedes 1-2, and you had Carlos Sainz third.
You did?
No.
No. When you pointed to one,
saying that was
he had the prediction. Like what?
No, but Carlos Sainz was third. But it was a normal result of what a qualifying would be during this season, or even in the past seasons. Damn Mercedes! But look how much we're talking about it. It was a great weekend overall. So
what's crazy is, as you guys said, Mercedes was out ahead. Hamilton was out ahead by 0.8. Valtteri Bottas was behind him by less than 0.1. I'm sorry. Hamilton was out ahead of Carlos Sainz by 0.8, and Bottas was behind him by less than 0.1. So that gap was huge. Within 0.3, you had Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Daniel Ricciardo. Within 0.3. Actually, within 0.2. So, to me, I'm gonna say this. I believe that the engine modes, the regulation, did not have an effect on qualifying.
Maybe not in qualifying, but we watch for the race, not in qualifying. So we all knew that obviously the Mercedes engine is super quick and nobody can match them. So you already know, and I don't know if the gap would have been larger if they had a different qualifying mode. And that would have been insane if they did. And that would not have
Here's what's also insane. They had a higher downforce setup than the other cars. So they were that far ahead on a low downforce.
Yeah, I mean, because they're crazy. They're clicking on all gears, man.
No. Could you imagine if they gave each other a tow?
Well, I mean, they
kind of did, but it's either way. Is that car is just good on all facets. It's just not. And then on top of that, you throw in the best driver in the world. It's a dream team.
I'm not there though. What are you talking about?
Okay, Wellington.
Here we go.
So anything else on qualifying now, right?
No.
So the race itself.
Let's get on to the good stuff.
Oh my God. We have to kind of lay out the narrative of what actually happened. So right at the start, there was action right at the start with Hamilton getting off to a good start. And of course, Ruben's boy, Valtteri Bottas, got bogged down at the start.
Again.
He said that he was going to miss time, be ahead of the lights being out. So he held back and that kind of screwed him up. And it put him into, I guess, the next row behind.
Why is he playing these games with himself, dude? Just start. Just go.
I think he's in his head. It's what we talked about last time. He's in his head. He's in his head trying to beat Lewis. You see all the stuff that Nico Rosberg went through to be able to beat him. I think
doing the exact opposite of what he should be.
He's psyching himself out. Absolutely.
I got a question. What was the year that was 17 that Rosberg won the title?
16.
So it's almost 4 years. One more year to 5 years later to write the book at least. So Bottas got a couple of more years to study.
Yeah.
Man, Bottas doesn't have it, man.
I don't think so. Yeah.
He doesn't have it.
So simultaneously, you also saw Verstappen bogged down at the start. So that led to Hamilton up ahead with Carlos Sainz, I think he was P2, Lando Norris, and Stroll and Perez all fighting at the front of the pack for, I guess, the podium positions.
Please don't insult the race and mention Stroll in that front pack thing.
Well,
because he also fell back.
Listen, I thought that he had a terrific race. So that was the start. Then we get Sebastian Vettel goes out in lap 6 with a brake failure. It was actually it was watching, I think Yhancy said it during the race. It was like watching a destruction derby. He just went through, what was it, a polystyrene?
Bros, yeah. It was straight up Smash Bros. It was like,
boom. We're in Italy, so,
It's not funny when you see a car out of control.
Oh, the Italian Job. That's that movie with
It's not funny when you have a car that doesn't have brakes when you're going that fast. But at the moment when you see all these things just exploding, it feels like you're watching like a Japanese game show.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looked like a Japanese game show.
All right. If you guys have not seen the race, which I find it hard to believe, but we'll put the link to the highlights in the show notes. Make sure to check those out because it's a phenomenal race, or entertaining race, I should say. K-Mag had a failure on the start-finish straight that prevented it was far enough from the pit entrance, or it was far enough from the parabolica turn at the end of the track that they didn't even call a safety car right away. But it was the route to get the car off was through the pits, so they had to close the pit entrance.
But they had to bring out a crane, didn't they?
They brought out a crane, and yes,
and because of the accident, which unfortunately killed Jules Bianchi, whenever you have a crane on the track, they always throw out a safety car.
Yes,
especially if it's in the way of the cars, because things happen. So
that closed the pit entrance, and Lewis Hamilton and Antonio Giovinazzi pitted while the pit entrance was supposed to be closed. So long story short, they ended up getting penalties for it. 10-second stop and goes, which is the most severe penalty that you can get during.
I want you to say it with me though.
What's that?
Repeat after me.
Let's go.
Mercedes effed up.
They did. They should have told him, even if I blame him, but I also blame the team. They should have definitely told me, you got to stay out.
Yeah. I mean, it was a total team F up, and they paid for it.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
What I don't understand is K-Mac pulled over. Why didn't he just back him up to the bank that was at the open? I think he pulled over where he did so they could reverse him into that area there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, but I don't.
But he was so close to the pit entrance. I understand that it just ruled him in, but normally.
Yeah, but if you look in the back, there's no way you can get another. You can get one of those cranes in there to lift him up.
Well, the car doesn't have to be removed right away if he's safely out. If he was to, if they would have just pushed him back, because I think that's why he took a right on the actual car. Oh, you want to push me that far? All right, so I get on the car. You push me. And I steer,
I don't know. I think after the whole, like Yhancy said, after the Jules Bianchi thing, that changed everything as far as.
Yeah. I mean, and anytime you have an accident like that causes a driver either a fatal injury or a crazy injury, let's say like Felipe Massa with the spring coming into his face, F1 is quick to respond, and that's why they have it in place, and that's why they put the halo in place. That's why they put all these safety measures, because so many things can happen.
Absolutely. If we never lose another driver, I am okay with 100 safety cars.
And they make the races interesting.
So
they do.
Speaking of driver safety, from the pit entrance opened, everybody pitted. It was lap 22. Not everybody, but for the most part, people pitted lap 22. After that, lap 23, Charles Leclerc goes literally flying off the track.
Dude.
And one of the most ridiculous crashes I've seen as far as hard of an impact.
Yeah, I mean, that was I was scared for him. I was like, wow.
Yeah, because that was also very high speed too. It's the beginning of the parabolic.
And it's not like he's going off under braking. He's going off under acceleration.
Yep.
Because at that point in the parabolic, obviously you brake to go in, but once you start hitting the apex, you're on the throttle.
Right.
So he just lost the rear end, and that car was going straight into that wall. Thank God that there was like four rows of tires there. But that was insane.
Dude, to see him get up and run off, I was like, yo, this guy's got to be in shock.
I think it was just the adrenaline running through his thing, because that was a hard impact.
So to me, him running on the track was the craziest thing that I saw this whole weekend, because just thinking about Jules Bianchi, something could have happened before they got the safety car out there, and it would have been just, I don't know, it would have just been a disaster.
Yeah. That was.
I think Leclerc had a bad dream, and he thought he was still in the dream, and he was trying to pull up a Martin Brundle.
He's a Ferrari driver. Yeah.
He was trying to put a Martin Brundle. He was trying to run to the pits. You know what? The accident Martin had in Australia, that he after the accident he ran to the pitch to get his other car. Yeah, so that's what Leclerc was trying to do.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's when they allowed it. They had a third car.
Well, I mean, I just want to clarify also that there was some time between the crash and when he ran out of the car. But like, I don't know. It was
That was
an interesting sight. So that led to a red flag. I don't even remember. They stopped it maybe for 20 minutes, the whole race. That means every driver lined up in the order they were in the pits, or the order they pulled in, I should say, into the pits, and literally took a break so they could clean up the wreckage, they could restore the barrier, make everything basically safe again. From there, it was just they actually ended up circling back around and then doing a standing start, which was that the first time that we've seen that?
Yes.
That's the first time they've done that after a red flag.
Fittipaldi said that in the post-race show, that was the first time that we had that. And I was like, dude, that's...
Yeah, because
like almost impossible to believe, right?
Yeah.
That it was a rule that was recently reinstated, but the only time we've had a red flag before something like this recently has been because of rain. So after, when it's raining, they do a rolling start. But that wasn't the case here. So the rule is to do a standing start.
So from that standing start was just freaking absolute balls to the wall action. No, you know what? I'm going to take that back. It was exciting and very interesting to finish the race from lap, 26 or whatever.
Yeah, it was like about halfway through the race.
Yeah, it was like perfect halftime. Got up, go to the bathroom, make some food. Perfect.
That's what I did.
Yeah. So, podium finishers, Pierre Gasly, Carlos Sainz, and Lance Stroll. If you would have there was a person that made a bet. I don't know what country they were in, but they made a bet and they ended up winning 166,000 euros or something to that effect.
The odds were like 166 something to 1.
So, I don't know. That's...
What in your right mind?
You're not.
Would make you predict that not one Mercedes, not one Ferrari, and not one Red Bull will be on.
Well, Ferrari already knew.
There was a Red Bull. Wow.
Well, there wasn't a Red Bull.
That was AlphaTauri.
Yeah, but it's
Ferrari we already knew was not going to be anywhere.
We get it, Ruben. Okay. We get it.
I just wanted to make sure you guys heard that.
But that was the first time, I think, since 2004, I believe it was.
I don't know.
That there wasn't one of those three teams on the podium.
Wow.
So, and then don't quote me on the year, but it's around that time. So, that's insane. And that was great. And I loved every minute of it. Because that's what we want to see. That's exactly what we want to see as fans. We want to see...
Can you clarify what we want to see?
We want to see other drivers besides the top teams either win or compete for the win.
Correct. We want to see unpredictability in sports.
Exactly.
Just like every other sport.
Exactly. That's what we want to see.
But F1 is not like that.
Well, there's a lot of
factors. Yeah,
there's a lot of sports that aren't like that either.
Yeah, I'm sick of the Patriots, by the way.
F1. F1 all the time just go by errors.
I just had to put that out there. So let's let the podium finisher. So Pierre Gasly's race. So here's the thing, right? Kevin Magnussen had, the car, whatever, died. Pulls off to the side. And there was a caution on it wasn't yet the safety car, but we saw AlphaTauri pull in Pierre Gasly to get on the fresh tires before the safety car was even deployed. I thought, because the safety car had to happen, I thought it was a brilliant move, but it turns out they said after the race, no, they just got lucky that they pitted him. And not only that, but that the pit lane happened to be closed. And that... Right. And then that allowed him to catch up to everybody else in the train with the safety car. And then when everybody else pitted, he just jumped straight to I think he ended up being third in the order. And that allowed him to really put him in the position to just kind of capitalize to win the race.
So you think maybe it was AlphaTauri's reaction to it? Because they reacted right away.
That's what I thought. But what they said was that it wasn't that. They were going to pit him, and then it just happened to happen the way...
It looks like they wanted to pit him to get him out of the way of Kvyat.
Because Kvyat had more pace. The whole race
had better pace.
Yeah.
So he was pushing the team like, yo, let me go ahead. And that was his ultimate undoing. But instead of actually, telling Pierre to move over, they just pitted him.
Instead of Pierre, Kvyat is faster than you.
Yeah, exactly. So they avoided that, which you see a lot of teams avoid that situation if they had to. So they pitted him.
Except for
and then everything... Oh, Ruben. And then everything just fell into place. But he drove a great race because he was in position to not only be ahead, but hold off Carlos Sainz at the end.
Right. It doesn't just take strategy. You have to drive the race. They can't make the call. Yeah, turn here, turn there. That doesn't. And you know what? Kvyat actually, in the post-race interview, he said, it literally took a worst case scenario of everything for Gasly to win. And he had better. He said it, and I'm like sitting there like, you're really just jealous.
I was a hater.
But you're right.
That's all racing drivers.
Yeah. I mean,
especially if it's your teammate.
Yeah.
I mean, he won the
after
race.
this mayhem of a race that we had this weekend, would you have wanted a different guy than Pierre to win? The guy that's been coming over.
I would have liked Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Future Ferrari driver.
Other stuff, other things that he has overcome.
I think you're 100% right there. The storyline,
yes.
Better.
Yes.
Ruben, you feeling a little sentimental today?
No.
I want Pierre to win.
No, but
poor Pierre.
Yeah, so just to go into what Ruben alluded to, last year he started the year on the Red Bull main team. In the, I guess did he make it all the way to the August break? I don't even remember. But
no, he got let go before the August break.
Yeah. He was demoted back down to Toro Rosso, who is now AlphaTauri.
The first race for Albon, wasn't it at Spa?
I thought it was at. Oh yeah, you're right.
So Spa is the first race right after the break. Back. So it was during the break, yeah.
So and then the Alex Albon got the promotion to the Red Bull team, and it's worked out great for Pierre Gasly, who has, not that he scored more points than Albon, but he's just really showing out in a car that's much worse. He actually got a podium before Alex Albon since the switch. He actually got his first race win before Alex Albon since the switch. So it's like,
I saw a picture of Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon together, and the caption was, "You have 2 podiums and a race win in the same picture."
Oh no.
So like we were joking about earlier, Christian Horner was probably like, "Yo, you up to Pierre Gasly come back up to the Red Bull team?" But I think he actually intimated that he wanted it. He said that he wanted to be rewarded for it.
What else is he gonna say?
Right.
If you're given the choice of going up to a top team as a racing driver, you're gonna say no? Well, that's what he had to say. Would it be a better situation for him? I don't know, man. I don't think so. I think you would have to look at another team. You definitely have more people looking at him now, especially after this year.
Right.
He's been driving lights out regardless.
Right.
And
we talked about it last week.
And now you add a race win, so he doesn't buckle under the pressure. He can, if he's ahead, he could take it home for the win. Dude, that's big, man. This race changed his career completely, his career trajectory. It's up to him if he wants.
I think this year he's been putting in the effort and getting the results. Obviously, this is a huge boost, but I don't think it changed his trajectory. When last week we were talking about he deserves a better seat, and there's just no seats available other than the Red Bull seat.
It's going up, but then it shoots up. You get what I'm saying? Now you have other teams looking at you, and you're a race winner. That's big, man. When you're, especially in F1, when race wins don't come a dime a dozen, when you can say you won a race. Now, if he starts getting more, he can get more wins. That'll be obviously even better. But he is a race winner, and there's most drivers on the grid can't say that.
How come?
Couldn't even get a podium.
Yep. Yeah.
Lance Stroll has 2.
I think it will be tough in a lot of, anybody that put next to him from the Red Bull I guess school or, coming up the Red Bull team to put next to Max is always going to be tough.
Yeah. A car
that's just that good.
A car that for years has been tailored towards Max to come in and trying within half a season, because that seems to be the going rate.
Exactly.
Within half a season to be able to get acclimated to the car, get it the way you like, and be able to get results.
Red Bull admitted it that they've given him a different car than what they've given Verstappen.
They've given Albon.
Albon, yeah. Which is, what's to say they didn't do that when Gasly was there?
Yeah. Do we see Gasly on the podium again this year?
No,
man. I mean, it has to be
a best of the rest. Do you think
a best of the rest? Maybe.
Remember, he got fourth place in Bahrain.
I think
a few years ago.
That what the engine mode ban did was close up the midfield, and so when you have a team. Let's say I think it looks like it affected Red Bull, even though the Honda engine won. So I don't know what's going on with Red Bull. Why weren't Red Bull up there at all in this race? They struggled all weekend. And Mercedes even admitted today, that the fact that Valtteri had a tough time overtaking and Lewis couldn't move up even more is because they couldn't change their engine mode. That was a Mercedes admission. So during the race, this stuff matters because now you don't have that extra boost. Now, could it work against anybody else, all the other teams? Yes, it can. But in this particular race, because that rule was instated, we got the result that we got.
No. We got the result that we got because Kevin Magnussen happened to go out right at the pit lane. Charles Leclerc crashed. It wasn't a engine mode.
So why couldn't Bottas even get to the podium?
So
was he that bad of a driver?
Yeah, because look at what Lewis did.
So what we saw was, I don't think that I'm going to be upfront. I'm going to say I don't think that it had that much of an effect on the race. If we're talking about Bottas in particular, we talked about it. He had some issues. He had issues with the cooling of the car. That was discussed even during the race. And then we also talked about he had a lower or a higher downforce on his car. We don't know what. I bet you that they anticipated running ahead and that they would not have had the issues they had with the cooling, and they probably would have been much faster in clean air. We talked about earlier that they didn't even need a tow, or they didn't want a tow from each other.
That car is made to run in clean air.
That's my point.
Why he has so much problem with the cooling, because
they even changed the radiator ducts during the red flag for Mercedes because they were having that much problems.
That's when the FIA guy they were showing him the parts that they were trying to change.
But
the side parts of the car that were trying to change.
But like I said, it's due to the engine ban that Valtteri couldn't move up, but it's also
no.
Yes,
we just said that he wasn't in clean air.
Admitted it.
He didn't have.
Mercedes admitted it. I will take the word of Mercedes.
What Mercedes said is that they would have been able to overtake more. Yeah, of course. If they have the most powerful party mode, it would help them the most. Yes.
Halfway through a race, if they had that party mode, Valtteri couldn't at least make the podium, but they have it. So we got a great podium. And they
also had other problems. My thing is we can't just take this sample from a race that everything else happened to say, oh yeah, this worked or it didn't work.
We can't just do that one factor, but it is a factor. You can't say it had nothing to do. It had nothing to do with the outcome of the race. It is a factor. Like there are many other factors. So there's tires, there's cooling, there's engine, but there's also engine maps now.
Where do you think Ham would have finished if he would have had a party mode?
I think he probably would have gotten maybe fourth place. He was moving through the pack super quick, considering that he didn't have that extra party mode. But that's Hamilton, bro. That dude is a
beast.
So who does he pass to get into fourth place? So he passes Sergio Perez, who has the same Mercedes engine. Lance Stroll was ahead. Does he pass Lando Norris?
I think that if for example, he probably would have. He was in clean air when he got to the back of the pack.
Yes,
right. So he probably,
and we saw how fast that car was, the clean air.
That was the quote of the race. He said, "How far am I back to?" He's like, "That's some ish." Yeah. That was great, but I think he probably would have gotten through faster, and he probably would have overtaken some other cars faster if he had that extra power just to overtake cars. It was halfway through the race. It wasn't like it was like three quarters into the race.
So, but there's also other problems with saying that statement, because I bet you if he was to be up against any of those other cars, right, they move over. If they're like, okay, now I can fight with Lewis Hamilton, they're going to do it. And they're not going to just let him pass. So if we say that we don't have the engine modes available, the drivers also change the mentality to those front running teams. So I just feel like there's just too many factors there. And then beyond that, like I said, who does he pass? He's not going to pass Bottas. He's not just going to let him through, right? The Lando Norris, McLaren had the best pace of the weekend, right? Yeah. We can agree to that? Mm-hmm. Then we talk about the Renaults, same engine as the McLaren, and we've seen them. They didn't have a good weekend because everybody else was just good. But I don't think that Lewis Hamilton on the straights would have been able to get past them. We saw that we know that their straight line speed is down from what the Renault was exhibiting. So I just can't agree that if everybody had a party mode available, that it would have been so much easier.
No, but I'm not saying...
a more entertaining race, I should say.
No, I'm not saying that it what did you just say that?
Sorry, you're the reverse. You're saying that it was more entertaining because... So you're saying that overtaking is not entertaining.
No, it is entertaining, but we don't want to see Mercedes winning all the time. That's the point.
I don't think that... Dude, they were 8/10 clear of the McLaren in qualifying.
But again... The car in qualifying, you're running in clean air. You can go that fast.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the start of the race. Hamilton was way ahead until the safety car.
Yeah.
So
he messed up.
He messed up because of this. So you said that it was because of the engine modes.
Valtteri was struggling behind all those cars because he messed up.
Okay, so.
Because that car started overheating, and Valtteri said it on the radio. He said this engine mode sucks, meaning he didn't have anything else, any other tools in his box in order for him to overtake those other cars ahead of him.
He didn't say this engine mode. He said I'm going slow as shit.
No, he said this engine mode sucks. Look at the radio, bro.
So I wanna understand.
Hear the radio, I should say.
Hamilton was ahead in first place. And that makes, because the engine modes were restricted, that makes it an entertaining race. No, that wasn't what happened. What happened was the safety car came out that screwed up Hamilton's race. He would have been in first place. He would have won that race.
Yeah, but look who was right behind him. It was Carlos Sainz and Lance Stroll.
Why did that happen? Because Bottas bogged down. It's not the first time.
And he couldn't come through the pack like he usually does.
Because he had issues with downforce and cooling.
And he said that his engine mode sucks.
Okay, but that is not going to make up the difference of the issues that he had. We saw 2 years ago in Austria, Mercedes have the same problem with cooling, and they finished, 5th and 6th in that race?
I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree, because I don't see your point.
I can't agree.
What Wellington's trying to say is that this race did not prove... the results that we had in the race did not prove that these results came out because of the party mode.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't say that either. I just said it was a factor. I didn't say that either. I said it was a factor.
We can go back to the recording.
It was a lot said. And I'm still over here what the hell?
Let us know what you guys think.
Yes. At Jump to Start F1 on Twitter and on Instagram, and jumptostart@gmail.com for email. So we talked about Pierre. We kind of talked about Carlos Sainz, who had a great weekend. This guy, it's funny because I went home. Every Sunday I go home, I talk to my dad. He tells me what he thinks. He's like, if it was Max in the car, he would have passed Pierre Gasly. Sainz is such a timid driver, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I looked at him. I'm like, really? I felt that this week, Carlos Sainz finally put a foot forward as far as, I'm a driver you guys got to pay attention to. And
this is him not believing he was going to finish anywhere. He said after the qualifying debrief, saying, "I don't think tomorrow will be at the same level of pace."
Right.
Meaning he did not believe he was going to be nowhere near.
He said that he was going to let them do their own race, and he was just going to fight in the midfield.
That's exactly what he said, and then look where we finished. So imagine if he had that belief in, no, we got this. We're gonna. I don't know.
It's an aggressive
and the engine modes.
It's
wow.
It's an aggressive side that I haven't seen from Sainz.
The radio was good.
Yeah, he smelled that win. It was like a predator after its prey, and it was an aggressiveness that I haven't seen from Sainz, and which makes me excited because he's going to come drive for my team next year
at the back.
He's going to take over for George Russell.
George Russell.
Yeah, so you say. But he drove phenomenal this weekend. To finish third in qualifying or put it in P3 to start the race. And to, even though things didn't really work out his way, he still managed to run in third at the initial after the initial start, the first race of the weekend. Was running in third until the whole safety car debacle happened, and then put it in P2. And he was 0.4 seconds from the victory.
Yeah, I
think if he had one more lap, he might have. I'm not gonna say for sure, but he might have gotten past Gasly.
His pace was showing that
because Gasly, he was on the better tires than Gasly. Dude, he drove phenomenal this weekend, and you feel bad for him because he didn't want to get that win because you were pushing for it, and those are the types of race finishes that we want to see. We want to see at least two drivers going in for that victory. He did amazing. Hats off to Carlos Sainz.
I think when Carlos Sainz started, even like I mentioned earlier, from qualifying. At qualifying, he kept showing the times that we just kept, getting better and better and better. So that brought him in his head also a reassurance of, hey, push a little more, and that's how they get faster. And he had the package this weekend. This weekend was his weekend.
What McLaren did this weekend was what I thought Renault was going to do this weekend.
Yes. Because they're the ones showing more of the speed.
So where's
the same engine?
So where's that Renault engine now, man?
I think it's good. I think Renault just had a bad weekend.
And Renault had a horrible start. So Ricciardo was on the sides or the third.
Right, but then that's the other thing. Like you can't discount that there was just so much chaos in this race that it could have. I think Ricciardo actually mentioned it in his post-race interview that it just put them on the back foot and they could not recover.
Right, yes. They were just put in the wrong positions because they looked like they were running well either way, but it's just that nothing went their way as far as them falling into place.
It did for Lance Stroll.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the lap times now. That was the clicking of the mouse, but I'm looking to compare Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris. Man, Lando was not like that far off. It's just a little bit in the mid-30s laps that's where Sainz really kind of took off. And Carlos Sainz was actually on used mediums from lap 26 on. So was Lando Norris, and Gasly was on new mediums. It was nice to see. It wasn't much of a battle. It would have been nice to see what would have happened if he had the extra engine mode available, scenario 7, that Lando Norris did.
But he didn't, and it was still interesting at the end.
It would have been more interesting with the engine
scenario
mode.
7, yes.
It would have been a foregone conclusion.
I don't think so, because Pierre Gasly would unleash his VTEC. He would
the one that passed the Ferrari.
Yes, the one
that's faster than the Ferrari.
The Honda VTEC. He'd be able to just get it done.
A Civic won a race.
Yeah. Yeah. Either way, we're happy for Carlos Sainz, a Spaniard. It's just nice to see before he ends up at the back of the pack next year.
Yes, sir.
Haters.
And then Lance Stroll.
I thought we were going to stop hitting on Ferrari.
A little bit. Lance Stroll finished up in third place, but we talk a lot of crap about Lance Stroll, but he drove pretty well, but he was really helped out big time by a completely free tire swap that allowed him to stay at the front of the pack.
Yeah, but the restart,
he nailed it. He nailed it. He's good at the starts.
No, man, not in this one.
I think he started and then he got passed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because he had a horrible start. I think he had like a bunch. He said himself. I think he had a bunch of wheel spin when he started.
All right, so maybe I'm thinking about the actual start.
Oh no, I'm talking about the restart.
No, I know, but maybe I'm in my head. I'm picturing the
start of the second race.
Yeah, the second race,
the sprint race.
The sprint race. So in that restart, that's where he got passed by everybody. I even think he got passed by Lando Norris.
Yo, it was awesome seeing Kimi at the front. It was like, oh my God, he was battling, but ultimately the car just let him down.
Not even the car, the engine. God.
But yeah, so that's the podium finishers.
Stroll did well. Listen,
still sucks though.
Yeah, he does, but he did well. He drove well this weekend. He's driving solid this year. I'm not saying that he's driving like top notch. I'm not saying that he's driving at the level of, let's say, a Pierre Gasly right now or Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton, but he's solid. He's bringing home the results. He got a podium. Any driver of a less caliber would have probably dropped down the order more.
Yeah.
And he's young, man. Maybe he'll get better. Right now, he still sucks, but
you don't think it's the car?
I think he's getting better himself.
No, it's not. No, it's not the car though, man. Because
look at Perez.
Perez wasn't nowhere this year.
But Perez got. So we can't discount that Lance Stroll got during the red flag. You're allowed to change the tires for free without having to come in to do a pit stop.
That basically counts as your pit stop.
Yeah,
that one mandatory pit stop.
Did. Wonders for Lance Stroll.
You know what fixes that? 2 mandatory pit stops.
Oh,
that's maybe my campaign.
Yeah, Yhancy for president. So I mean, we could only we talked about
the banner right now,
comparing Stroll to Gasly or Hamilton, whatever. We could only really compare him to the guy in the same car on the opposite side of the garage, and it's what Ruben was saying. Lance Stroll has 57 drivers' championship points to Sergio Perez's 34. Granted, Perez missed what, 2 races?
So if you add, how many Perez has?
34. There's a 23-point difference. So
if you add the 15 that Hülkenberg had, I think Hülkenberg, when he was there for those 2 races, he got 15 points. So it still be off.
Still, yeah.
Well, remember, Hülkenberg also did not start or whatever, did not finish. He missed the race.
You think Perez would have qualified third in Silverstone?
I don't know. Look, the only way we could do this is to average it per race.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Let's not get into that. But I think that he is actually getting better. I think he's doing better. I think that it's just taking him time.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, he is a Formula One driver, so
he's lucky that his dad owns the team.
He's not Wellington.
But, come on, best driver in the world.
Yeah,
Stroll sucks.
So Mercedes and their team struggles. We talked about this kind of already, but Bottas needs to really get his act together with the starts. He's gotten lucky before. Last year, he had that start that was, I think two times that happened to him where he started and it just happened to be almost simultaneous with the light going out. So it was like a phenomenal start. Sebastian Vettel even called on the radio during that race that he jumped the start.
Yes, sir.
But he needs to figure it out because this is now a couple of times this year that he's gotten a bad start off of the line and it kills the whole rest of the race because now he's focused on trying to overtake in a car that may overheat.
It seems like he loses confidence the minute that he makes a mistake. It's a complete opposite of what happens on the other side of the garage.
Yeah.
Lewis didn't make the mistake. Well, it's a team effort, but they told him to come in, he went in. But either way, you're put in that situation where you put literally, I don't know how many seconds was he behind.
26, dude, 26 behind the last place car, which was Alex Albon, which is another story. But
yeah, well, whatever. 26 seconds behind, and then he moves up through the pack. That was a great recovery drive. So, and that is what I look at. Right, you're in the same car. You're consistently running fifth. What did he finish? Fifth or sixth? Sixth. He finished sixth. So you're consistently running sixth, and you can't
seventh.
Get by.
I'm sorry, he finished seventh.
He finished seventh. No, I'm talking about Bottas.
Oh, Bottas, he finished fifth.
Fifth, yeah. So you're trying to tell me for 20-something laps you can't overtake one car? Not one car?
Listen, it's still Mercedes made a costly mistake for the race. But it's still so amazing that this guy is 26 seconds behind the last place car. And he still goes down all the way to, 7th, the hand finish, without a party mode or without, overturning the engine or whatever you want to call it. This guy deserves even the credit he's not given as being such a good driver because he...
Talking about Hamilton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because come on, as soon as he pits, his pit wall tells him, oh, but the way it's looking, we might make it up to P6. And that's what he said. Yep.
That's some ish. Dude, and he nailed it, bro. He 26 seconds behind the car, and then with the overheating behind the last place car, then even with the overheating issues and not having the party mode, you're still gonna make it up to 7th place. That's insane,
yes,
bro.
Sir.
I don't think he had the overheating issues to the degree that Bottas had because he was running in first place in clean air. Then the red flag came, safety car, then red flag, and then he was so far back in last place that he was in clean air.
That's what they told him, he wasn't going to get P6.
And this is the thing that got to me, and this was at the first part of the race. The cars were running so much closer together than you've seen in a long time. And I know the midfield runs close, but you usually have like 3 or 4 packs of cars going around the track. Everybody was together. So that didn't help Bottas out either.
We saw the same thing in Spa last week. The cars were closer together than normal. I don't know if it's a function of when the safety cars came in actual both races, but
either way, Bottas is in a superior car than anybody else. It's the class of the field. At least overtake one car. Just one.
Oh, he overtook one.
All right, 2.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and this was the perfect.
I think this was the race.
This was a perfect opportunity to him. When you see Hamilton go to the back of the field, this is a perfect opportunity for you to get up to the front of the pack and gain all those points that you lost during the past few races against Lewis Hamilton. Because I still think it's going to wind up being at the end of the season, Hamilton obviously winning the championship and Valtteri Bottas second because that car is so good. And if he finishes 3rd behind Verstappen, that's gonna be a travesty.
I think that's one of the problems that Bottas has. He has a problem taking advantage of situations, and that's what makes a great driver.
Well, I mean, that's what Nico Rosberg did.
Yeah. So this weekend should have been his race to win.
It's exactly what Pierre Gasly did.
Exactly.
Things work your way, you take advantage of it. That's a race winner.
Yeah, Bottas is only 7 points ahead of Max Verstappen, who DNF'd. So, yeah, exactly. On the list here, on the outline, I have going back to talk about McLaren, but we already kind of talked about them a lot. Sainz qualified 3rd, finished 2nd. Lando qualified 6th, finished 4th. That car looks good. Even Daniel Ricciardo said that he was impressed by the pace. And I bet that he was there, like, just clapping, rubbing his hands together, like, yeah.
See you soon.
Yeah, I'll see you soon, baby.
Yeah, that car, I mean, we talked about it last week. McLaren are where they should be at. And if something crazy happens, they can take advantage of it, which a lot of crazy stuff happened during this race. And they took advantage of it. You got a 2nd place and a 4th place, a big points haul for them. Should bring them up in the midfield pack. They're racing phenomenal, and the car seems like it is getting better, and the Renault engine seems like it's getting better.
Which is crazy, right?
I think this is
it can't get better. So because they have a development freeze, so it has to be on the chassis side of the car.
Right? Maybe they're just unlocking more of that potential. Software update. I don't know.
Engine mode bands, I don't know.
I think this is the next shot of adrenaline that McLaren just got.
Yeah.
Because remember, they got it at the beginning when last lap Lando started to show and stuff like that.
With the engine modes, scenario 7. Yes.
So now this is probably another boost that they're getting. Maybe they should, like I said before, should keep with the momentum and try to maximize it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, all right. So other stories from this weekend. I mean, we pretty much talked a lot about it, but we'll go through this one quick. But the Ferrari car itself, can we just agree that it's just not where it's supposed to be? Not just the engine, but the balance of it itself. We always made fun of Seb for spinning. Now we've seen Charles Leclerc spin in Spain and this weekend as well. The balance is just not there. And both times it was the back end that went out on them.
Yeah,
the car itself is just shot.
The car is bad, and as we were talking about Mercedes, that their engine is good, the aero is good, the strategist is good, the entire team is good. Ferrari's on the other end of the spectrum. They have no balance in that car. Their engine sucks. Ferrari sucks, man.
Dude, even the customer teams are doing better than them.
Yes.
Well, another funny thing that happened during this race, and not during the race. Right after the race, Roman Grosjean was being interviewed by Will Buxton, and he said that he was happy to win the Ferrari challenge.
Whoa!
I started dying.
What were you gonna say, Ruben?
No, I just said we have to look at what the changes they were forced to make to that engine really affected the car.
Can't be,
that
dude.
Much.
Can't
that's what I keep, because that's the only major. That's the only major thing that we know that happened to the team itself.
Yeah, but it's not
that they were forced to change the engine.
It was
the way they were developing the engine. They were forced to stop going that route.
Touched on this in an interview last week. He said that they designed that car obviously
for the fast engine.
No, yeah, exactly. They designed that car to have more power, basically. So when you have more power, you can get
it hides sins.
Yeah, it hides sins, but it also you can literally push through all the drag. But once you have no power, all that air is just sitting there is gonna weigh your car down. The drag is coming to you. The drag is coming to you, so you can't overpower that drag. So and then COVID hits, and you can't really develop the car, and then you have the freezes. It was like a perfect storm. They didn't start off right, and then when everything happens, it just brought them even more to the ground. It's completely their fault. It's nobody else's fault but theirs. They definitely have the resources to build a better car and have a better team. They need to blow that thing up.
Do they?
A little bit of not vindication, but for Vettel, who through no fault of his own had to retire the car, the freaking brake-by-wire went, and then Leclerc had his problems, and it's like...
Did you already send your love card, your greeting card to Vettel?
No, I sent my application to Ferrari.
No.
My resume.
They're going to probably be a worse team.
Okay, so... yeah, right. I'm pretty good on F1 2020. So, all right, guys, to wrap up this weekend, good race, bad race. What do you guys think? Well, obviously not bad race.
Come on, man. That was a great race.
Great race?
This was the first race in a long time that I don't get sleepy in the middle of the race.
Okay.
Because we had a standing start again. We had two races.
We had two races, and you're you're also so pumped. That
Bring sprint races to F1, baby.
Yeah.
You're so pumped inside that your body's not coming down. That's going to be the campaign
slogan.
You start with a big high adrenaline in the beginning, and then as the race starts to dice down, so does your body starts to come down. And then Saturday, so Sundays, and it's early for us here. So,
introduce a little bit of unpredictability, man, and we have a recipe for not disaster, for greatness.
I think it was entertaining. I didn't think it was a great race.
Why not?
I think the racing portions of it kind of left me wanting more. I thought it was entertaining because a lot of different stuff happened.
Yes.
But
those are the kind of races that we're getting now in the V6 hybrid era. You're not getting great racing. That's what we've been getting for the past, since 2014.
You sure? Because Austria was pretty good this year. Silverstone was pretty good. Last year, we had all kinds of great races. Everything after the French Grand Prix at what's the stupid track that everybody hates?
Ricard.
Yeah. After that, everything was freaking awesome.
Yeah, we had, but...
And racing-wise, granted, whatever, like Mercedes at the front, who cares?
I know, but sorry. So let's take last season. What would you consider the best race of the season?
Of last season?
Germany?
Brazil,
it was a hard-fought race. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, hard-fought race. And we had rain and crazy accidents and things happened. That's what,
But it was a good race.
Yeah, this
weekend was not a good race. Stuff happened and it was entertaining.
Stop being a party poop.
Listen.
He's missing the party mode.
They took away his engine bans.
Yes.
Or they banned his engine mode.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I noticed from this weekend?
What's that?
That I have to, double check on it, but that I did not see anybody pretty much celebrating with Lance Stroll at the debrief. like the number of the Lance Stroll was like to his side, and you see Pierre mad pump and Sainz mad pump, and Stroll to the side like, how about me, guys? Yeah. Let's go.
He probably was thinking he had that one.
Also, he was also disappointed because he lost it. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
He was still sleeping at the end of the race. That's what it was.
It seems like Sainz didn't know whether to be disappointed or celebrating. Because normally, in normal circumstances, for you to get P2, dude, that's great for McLaren. But then he was just so close to the race when it's like...
He was so close.
Yeah. It was like him waiting for his podium last year when he got it at... What was it?
He got it after the race in Brazil.
Oh, in Brazil, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Driver standing wise, obviously Ham at the top, Bottas like we talked about, second, Verstappen third. Then it's Lance Stroll and Lando Norris tied at 57. Alex Albon at 48. How crazy is that, right? And Charles Leclerc at 45 on 7th place.
My boy Charlie!
Yeah, with a terrible car. He had 2 DNFs and he's still up there.
But he has 2 podiums.
Yes, exactly.
Lucky.
And then the constructors, it's Mercedes, obviously way out in front. Red Bull of 158. McLaren in third place with 98. Racing Point, 82. Renault, 71. Ferrari, 61. AlphaTauri, 47. And then it's 2-1. And then
it'll be interesting to see where Ferrari finishes.
Well,
they look like right now, like Kimi was when he was running in second place.
Yeah.
And he just fell down the order. That's what Ferrari's doing right now in the construction championship. This is falling down.
Who was driver
order.
of the day?
Driver of the day was Pierre Gasly.
Again, okay.
So that was another thing. My dad was very adamant. He was like, Lewis Hamilton should have been driver of the day.
That's what I think too.
He fell back and he had to come back. Yeah.
You know what? He does have a good point there. Yeah.
He was the actual driver of the day because he actually overcame.
I don't know if he listens, but he's like every Sunday he like just stands there and he yells at me at what he thinks should have happened. I'm like, all right, Dad.
You know what? I picture your dad saying,
yeah. Sorry. All right. So that wraps up our race coverage. Now to do a little bit of a preview for Mugello, the Tuscany Grand Prix. So before anything, what we always do, what do you guys think that the track layout looks like?
I got nothing.
So look, I'm going to tell you what I think. If you have it with the curvy part down pointed down towards the bottom, it looks like a chameleon or like a lizard on a branch with the tail curled underneath it.
I was gonna say,
oh my God.
And then if you look at it the other way, it looks like almost like a beaver with the tail curled up overhead, or like an alligator.
Dude, what is your obsession with animals?
He's trying to make a picture of it.
There's animals all over the world here. What are you talking about?
Before it was dinosaur, he's moving closer to the edge. to the ears now.
This is the guy that last week he said that the Monza track looked like a sex toy. So I don't want to hear anything. I really don't want to hear anything.
Thank God I didn't say the bong.
Right. So Mugello, this is actually the first race, first official Formula One race at this track. It's a track owned by Ferrari. Yes. It is described on F1.com as a swooping, undulating circuit that drivers almost universally adore. Set in a valley, the natural topography makes a lap of 3.3 mile track a roller coaster ride with the stomach churning run through Casanova, Savelli, and into Arrabbiata 1 and 2, a particular highlight.
That sounds like you're describing.
Who wrote that?
An amusement park
Picasso? Who wrote that?
Whoever wrote it is a poet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for
I
this.
mentioned everything but poet. Picasso, Da Vinci. I didn't even mention a poet.
I'm about to get wine and cheese and watch the race with that.
There you go.
There you go. It is wine country.
Paul Di Resta says that the drivers might not even dip below 4th gear. So,
wow, for real?
Yeah, Beto pretty much the same thing too. Beto says that it's a shame that this track is not on a regular part of the calendar all the time, because it's also because of how incredible the track is with all the high speed corners that it has.
Yeah, it does look like it doesn't have any of these like heavy braking zones. No. It's just swooping corners, flowy track, like what I call a flowy track. A lot like it's not. Well, Silverstone is a flowy track, but Silverstone is a lot more high speed. I don't know how high-speed this track will be.
We're running long. So the tire compounds are on the hardest side, C1, C2, C3. So that they're the hardest that they could be, essentially. Anything to add for Mugello?
A little bit of history.
Go ahead.
It's normally used by MotoGP. They use it on a regular basis.
Are you asking me or are you telling me?
No, that's it. It's normally used by MotoGP. The location is pretty much south of Bologna, but north of Florence. It's like a map thing.
Yeah.
And it was also used for the winter testing, I believe, in 2012 by all the teams.
But we've never had a race there before.
No, not an official race, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going to come out 20 pounds heavier.
I don't know for you. The unofficial track lap record is held by none other than
Kimi.
Romeo Grosjean.
Really?
What?
121.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
The
saying
winner of the Ferrari Challenge.
There you go.
they're going to come out 20 pounds heavier because Bologna, oh my God, the food over there. Ruben knows.
Sir. Yes, sir. I still can remember that.
Yeah.
The lasagna.
So, all right, let's let the champion here lead off. Yhancy, prediction wise, knowing the type of track that it is.
I want to do it for Yhancy.
Okay, go ahead. I
will say Max is making a comeback this weekend, and Bottas third. Best of the rest will be. That one is going to be a little tougher to pick. You know what? Let's say he stays with the momentum. Sainz.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay. For third?
That was a gamble. No, for fourth. Best of the rest.
Okay. Best of the rest, fourth. Okay. You go ahead, Wellington.
He's still thinking.
I'm going to go. So they said it was a fast, undulating lap, roller coastery. So I'm thinking about the Singapore, 2018 lap that Hamilton did. I think he's going to take first. I think also Max is going to be second. Bottas is going to be third. I'm going to go with Lando Norris as third place. We've seen him in a fast, undulating lap this year in Austria.
Yeah.
He did really well. Seems to me it doesn't look the same, but it could have some of the same type of characteristics.
Ricardo could be a guy to take fourth too, because there's last lap Lando thing.
That would be Rast Rap Ricardo, no?
It was gonna be a Mercedes 1-2. Now, I hesitate to put Max in third because I'm not sure where they're at right now. They were nowhere this entire weekend. So
they're not well,
and I don't and I mean we can't have a definite answer if the engine mode ban is affecting them, because that's something that you're not going to know until you have a few races in the books. So I say best of the rest will be Max.
So who's third? Who's third?
Put Perez in there.
Wow.
Perez needs a good race, so yeah. He has a good race.
And they have the car. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I mean, but it's not going to be Perez. You know why? Because they don't do well in these like flowy tracks.
They didn't do well in Silverstone.
So you're either gonna have to you're either gonna have to.
He did not race.
Wait a second. He didn't race.
The car wasn't good at that. It wasn't good there at all. So you got to put a McLaren. You got to put a McLaren or a Renault in there.
That's what a Ricardo might be. Because remember when Lando did the last lap Lando, it was by Stroll and Ricardo.
I'm going to put Sainz in there at third.
Sainz third?
Yeah, Sainz third, Verstappen fourth.
Wow.
Anything else, guys, this week? It's a long episode.
No, it's we obviously don't know what's going to happen in Mugello. We never raced there before. So I hope I get my predictions right.
And get back on track?
Yeah. It was kind of cool having a few right predictions. So get back on track with the predictions and let's see how this goes out, man. I hope it's gonna be another good race, or the first good race for Wellington since he didn't like the last one.
It wouldn't be the first good race of this year. Remember, I like Spain. You didn't.
Oh, that was so boring.
It was so good.
You were the only one that thought that was fun.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Ruben, anything to close us out?
No, I just can't wait for the weekend. I want to actually see whatever this track brings us.
All right.
We always can't wait for the weekend.
Yeah, for other reasons too. But guys, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram, our social media platforms at Jump to Start F1. We're on YouTube, Jump to Start Racing podcast channel. We're also all over all the podcast platforms.
What are the platforms again?
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart Radio, and Stitcher. Let me say that again.
I feel like I'm coaching him.
No,
Apple Podcasts,
repetitive.
Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Stitcher.
Job, Wellington. It's my boy.
Everybody, we will see you after the race. We'll talk.
Bye, guys.
Peace out.
Thank you.